Hello and welcome to this tutorial on classes and objects in Python. It is a part of Python for Beginners tutorial. All videos you can find collected in a list, link in the right up corner. In this video we will explore the concept of classes and learn how to define and use classes in Python. Classes allow us to create our own data types and define their properties and behaviors, and objects it's instances of these classes that can interact with each other and the rest of our program. So let me explain in simple words. In programming, a class is like a blueprint or a template that allows us to create an object. It helps us organize our code and define the properties and behaviors of an object. Think of a class as a set of instructions for creating objects that share similar characteristics and can perform similar actions. Let's take the example of a class called car, for example. So we have a class called car. A car class would have attributes such as color, number of the doors, and the brand of the car. These attributes describes what car is like. The class would also have methods, which are like functions or actions that a car can perform, such as starting an engine, accelerating, or stopping. Now with this class, we can create multiple instances of cars, multiple objects, each with its own unique set of attributes. For example, we can create a red car with 4 doors and a brand name Toyota using this car class, because this Toyota would still be a car. We can also create a blue car with 2 doors and a brand name Honda, for example, using the same class. So both Honda and Toyota in our examples are cars. Both cars have the same properties and can perform the same actions defined by the class. So they both have colors, they both have brand name, they both can start the engines, they both can stop, and etc. So they have a similar attributes and similar methods. To define a class in Python, we use the class keyword followed by the name of the class. So let's start by creating a simple class called, in our example, it would be person. So we want to create a class that would describe a person. For now, I will just leave it pass here. So in this example, I defined a class called person using the class keyword. The pass statement for now is just a placeholder indicating that the class is empty for now, because if I would just delete it, I would have an error. So you see, PyCharm is showing me that I have an error. So that is why I would use a pass. So pass is the good way to use when you started to work on your functions, but you are in process and etc. So you could just pass and continue later. Once we have a class, we can create an object, also known as an instance of that class. We do this by calling the class as if it were a function. So let's create an object from our person class now. So I will just create a person1 equal to person. So you see, in this example, I just created an object person1 using the class person. So now we have our first person. Classes can have attributes, as you know, and methods associated with them. Remember, we talked about cars, so attributes color, brand name, and etc. Method is starting the engine, stopping, and etc. So attributes represents the data of characteristic of an object, while methods define the actions or behaviors that the object can perform. Let's add some attributes and methods to our person class. So let's start with the attributes. To do that, I would use the init function, and I will explain just in a second why I do it and what does it mean. So we would have 2 attributes, name and age. So each person would have a name and would have an age. So when we create a class, the init method is the special method that helps us set up or initialize the object. It's like a special function that gets called automatically whenever we create a new object from that class. Think of it this way. Imagine you're building a toy robot, for example. Before the robot can do anything, you need to give it a name and etc. So you need to have some initial values for it to start. The init method is where you would set up those initial values for the robot. In programming, when we define a class and include an init method, we can pass in some values when creating an object. Those values are used to set up the object's initial attributes and or properties. When we create a new person object using this person class, and we will provide a name and age for this person now. So it would be John and he will be 25 years old. So this is our person one. The init method will be automatically called with those values. So this setup is the initial values for the person one object, so we can access and use them throughout our program. In simple words, the init method is like a setup function that gets called when we create a new object from a class. It helps us give the object its initial values or attributes so it's ready to use right now. So let me just do some debugging as I love to do, and I will show you how the code moves. So now we're trying to create this person one, and if we will step into our code, we will see that it goes automatically in our init method, and you would see that we would have name and age initialized for this person one. We can check these attributes just like that. Person one dot name, and for example, person one dot age. Let's store it in some variables. So just name equal to person one, age to person two, and let's just print it for you to see. Age and name. Just like that. So let me run our program, and you would see in the result that we just printed our age and name. So we can access the attributes from our class just using our person one dot and the attribute name, just like that. Now let's create a method to our class. So methods in class are like special actions or behaviors that objects can perform. Just like you can do different actions yourself, like running, jumping, singing, and etc. Objects created from a class can also have their own special actions. In our class, person can do different things, of course, but let's create a simple method greet where a person will introduce itself. So how to do that? We will just create def greet, for example. Then we would have self. We'll just print hello. My name is self name. We can just access these attributes just like that, and I am age, self age years old. So this is how our person will greet itself. So when we define a method inside a class, it becomes available for objects created from that class to use. So if we created a person one already with from our person class, we can call this method and use this method defined in person class for that object. So let's do it. I will just remove this part, and instead of just printing the attributes, I would just write person one dot greet. So this is how we call this method. And let me run our program, and you will see that hello, my name is John and I'm 25 years old, and etc. We can create another person like person two from this same class. For example, it would be Maria and she would be like 30 years old, and we can call this method as well. So Maria greet. If we run our program now, you would see that there is also Maria's also introducing herself. So hello, my name is Maria and I'm 30 years old. So any object of this class can use this method. In summary, methods in classes are like special actions or behaviors that objects can perform. They define what objects can do and how they do it. When we create an object from a class, we can use the methods defined in that class to perform specific actions on that object. In this video, we learned the basic of classes and objects in Python. We saw how to define a class, create an object, and add attributes and methods to our class. Understanding classes and objects is crucial for building complex and modular programs. It helps us organize our code and create reusable components. In future videos, we will dive deeper into advanced topics related to the classes, but for now, we have a good understanding of classes and objects, and you can start applying this knowledge to your own Python projects. I would really encourage you to practice as much as you can. Stay tuned for more exciting tutorials on Python programming. Thank you for watching this video tutorial on classes and objects in Python. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more Python programming content. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. And happy coding! And remember, knowledge is our superpower.